Okay, Queen Lainey, I had a little trouble with the video. Uh, Sometimes you hit ready to hit play and it sets it back to the movie player program, which means I have to re-put in the title of the movie for YouTube, so when I upload it. So, anyways, this is part 3. Hopefully this is the final one because otherwise I do everything in 4s. That's my number. I'm getting tired, as you can see. I'm just frankly cranky. But, me and Aaron, we had a nice chat about work. It was about, we'll go through what's available in the briefcase. Then we were talking about, funky things, We were talking about transgendered issues. Aaron was just, like, talking about how certain doctors are greedy as hell and, etc. And I said, well, in this economy, people need their money. We just gotta accept it. Well, he's like, well, I don't accept someone, that's greedy as hell. And I said, deal with it. He just doesn't want to deal with it, So, with that said, me and Aaron, we got everything done. But we just sat there and chatted. He's like, well, I want to work on a baseball program soon. And I said, yeah, I got a project for him. We discussed somewhat my books, what I'm looking for, and he'll get to it. So, some survival books, new ones are coming out I'd like to read. Some of them are the same books, but they're updated editions with new info, so I'd like to read the new info. It's simple, beautiful, it's simple. So, life is good, you just gotta take it as it is. I told him, if he wanted me to do all the research like I did on Texas, then, he should have said, well, it's just an idea, but he's like, he's fixed on it, then he isn't fixed on it, then he's fixed on it, then he isn't fixed on it. I finally snapped today when he came in, and I just said, I did some videos about him on YouTube, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and he was like, well, I heard rumors the same thing about today, some through the grapevine about the manager, and not smoking and crap, and I said, oh, yay. Manager does not want smoking. Or not manager, that one lady, the manager doesn't want to bring in the list, See, I'm tired. So, I got on him and I said I did all the research, in Texas for him, and he turns around and goes, well, it might not be it would be a bad idea, maybe moving into a city in Texas. Well, here, living in the city, you might get your ass handed to you because you're tranny. Those Texans don't take trannies lightly, from what I said. I'm not sure. I gotta look into it thoroughly, that part, but I did all the research on the land, I did all the research on the gear, all the research on what you need. I even told Aaron I'd get him his driver's license, help him with it. He's like, that's great, all we need now is to figure out a car. I said, a little pickup truck would be perfect. Or a 6x6 5-ton army truck that runs on used fryer oil. He's like, that's cool, He just, he apologized to me for putting me through the... See, I'm tired, beautiful. I'm pointing the finger at you because I almost said baby by mistake. See, I'm that tired. Usually when I do videos or Skype, Skype messenger program or MSN or Yahoo or, those messenger programs, I'm always calling my niece baby, or my niece baby girl. And, because I always talk to her. She's 16. I have her ears ring. Anyways, I always call her baby girl. I was about to call you baby girl. That's how tired I am. But anyways, I told, anyways, I caught myself. Queen lady. So anyways, I got on Aaron. I said, I do all the research, So, but it was cool. Aaron's always talking, Today he's like, well, I don't want to lose you as a partner. And said, but if you want a wifey, and you find a wifey, go for it. And I said, I don't think I'm going to find a wifey. Then again, I'm not looking for a wifey either. I just noticed something on my laptop. That's why I was looking the other way. It's got a lock right there. However, I've never looked at it, so I don't know, these locks on these laptops are really weird. I don't even look, you know, but it just caught my eye, so. But anyways, me and Aaron were talking about wifes, and I said, well, I'd look for one, but he was making a joke about looking at Craigslist. You probably heard of Craigslist. And the other day he was talking about Craigslist, and he said, yeah, I hear about that frickin' massage therapist setup. And I said, no, what about the massage therapist? And he said, yeah, it's a massage therapist. We're getting something about Craigslist and how a serial killer is on the loose. I said, makes me wonder about Craigslist. He says, yeah, maybe you should change, you know, browsing that paper when he was sending down some briar box. You know, he's working on a briar pipe, and he's getting it down there, but it's more than 10 hours. You know, he's just working on it, and I said, that's pretty cool, you know, and he's cool about working on it, and but he saw that in the paper, and then he was talking about baseball. We're into baseball, you know, hockey, and he was like, yeah, baseball season's here, and isn't that cool, and isn't this cool, and isn't that cool, and you know, I was like, that's great, that's cool, you know, but deep down I was like, why should I think about it, you know? I'm like a friend, I don't want to think about it. So, but he brought up the Craigslist thing. It changed my tune. I was like, well, maybe I'll just, you know, but I told him, just like I told you, unless you find a miracle in someone wants to live in a tent, you know, hey, Aaron's idea, it's cheap rent, and you can live it 20, 30 years easy, but I don't know. I wanted to keep my apartment. He's like, you know, the manager won't let you. I could if I know how to play the cards right. I mean, there's a next door neighbor that broke the law, right? Rural assistant, that's subsidized, tells everyone that 1 person to 2 people can be in a 1-bedroom. 2 people is mandatory for a 2-bedroom. This little bitty's got her sister next door on the lease. Her sister lives on the damn golf course and never lives here, so there's already the eviction stick out on her. But the problem is the lady's always finding something. The other day we found out she had a washing machine and a dryer in her bathroom, which is not supposed to be, so the manager's got the eviction stick out for that. District manager was here, what was it, Friday. I had my sign on my door for sleeping, so the manager was really PO'd. She couldn't inspect me, but you have to have 2 days notice in the state of Washington, and I was just like, haha, sleeping away. My place is about 70% clean now. We got the bathroom to tidy up. Aaron makes a mess in there. I use the tub and the toilet, basically, and the sink just for my teeth. You know, and then the bedroom, Aaron folds up the clothes, but sometimes he doesn't. I leave it in the basket and just dig through it, you know, for what I want, but I'm out of clothes, so it's like, I'm out of clothes, man. Okay, I'll make some tomorrow. That's one of those things he wants to get done tomorrow, but you know, it's pretty interesting with life and stuff. So with me and Aaron, we live day by day, but I want to keep my apartment, and I said, I know how to keep my apartment. You know, there's this lady we know, it's 93, you know, has her apartment 4 months, 5 months out of the year. She goes to Florida, so I can go to Texas, you know, 4 or 5 months out of the year, live in a tent. And then we got one guy who's Mexican that goes to Mexico 4 months out of the year too. It's like, well, we can go there too. Well, if these boys and girls can do it, I can do it too. Let me make the final video, and then hasta lasagna. It's bedtime.